This is it, folks. The 2022 mother of all general elections in the country called Kenya is here. It has arrived. And what every Kenyan is very eager to know is, what will the final results look like? What will happen to the country called Kenya after the elections? And those are the two key issues that my show is going to be laser focused on today. Before a very big soccer game, the finals or something like that, what seasoned journalists do is visit both camps, and they carefully measure the mood in that particular camp, and they carefully observe what those in that camp are doing, small details, and then they arrive at a verdict as to which team is the most psychologically prepared for the upcoming battle. And in that way, they can easily predict what kind of game will unfold and what kind of results we will most probably get. And we can do the same in politics. Indeed, this is what we're going to do just now. The Kenya Kwanza team, and especially UDA, are difficult to gauge because it has too many inexperienced politicians. It has too many people who do not even understand this game properly. Now, of course, they're the same kind of people in Azimio, the other side of the political divide. But within Azimio, there's a clique of very experienced political players whom you can look at and observe and come to a conclusion very quickly. This is not easy with Kenya Kwanza and UDA, because there's just too much inexperience amongst their ranks. If truth be told, a vast majority of the politicians, the most prominent politicians within UDA and Kenya Kwanza, a vast majority of those politicians are who they are today because of Deputy President William Samoei Ruto. Without the efforts and the calculations, etc., of the Deputy President, those politicians would be nowhere today. Some of them would not even be in politics. But there's something we can observe that is very interesting, and I believe very relevant to what we're discussing today. The clique of the most experienced politicians within UDA, and indeed the key players in William Samoei Ruto's campaign, have been very quiet. They have taken a very low profile, extraordinarily so. And let's leave out Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, etc., out of this, because keen observers will tell you that these characters have always looked like outsiders within Kenya Kwanza. They have never really fitted into the inner core, the engine room in UD and Kenya Kwanza. They have never really fitted in. Now, there are several reasons why somebody would behave the way these key players in UDA have behaved in recent months. And one of them, I'm afraid, is to avoid embarrassment. Now, if we look at past campaigns in Kenya, during general elections, we have seen something similar, where leading political lights lie very low as the general elections approach. They're not issuing any statements. They're not talking. They're just on the ground, one-on-one, door-to-door campaigns, etc. But they're not out there in the public making waves. One reason why a politician would do that, indeed a smart one, would be to avoid embarrassment. Why? Because they're not sure if they're winning. Indeed, they're struggling. Indeed, they believe their chances of winning are slim. That's really what it is. My very impeccable sources on the ground tell me that leading UDA light, who is normally very loud and aggressive, but you'll have noticed has been lying low in recent weeks, Aisha Jumwa, anaenda nyumbani. They say that her chances of winning are very slim, close to zero, in Kilifi. Now, I've chosen that example deliberately because I want you to compare the Aisha Jumwa of 2017 and the Aisha Jumwa of 2022. In 2017, she was loud and visible throughout. Of course, that time she was firmly in ODM, or so everybody thought. Or maybe I need to correct that. Or so most people thought, because there are those who knew exactly what was happening. She was being heavily financed by the deputy president, even in 2017, running on an ODM ticket. But she won. It was clear right from the beginning she was winning. So, ask yourself, why is the approach very different in 2022? And when you ask yourself that question, you'll understand precisely what I'm driving at. You know, it is super fascinating that even very popular candidates running on a UDA ticket who look most likely to win are not promoting the deputy president. They are quiet on the presidential candidate, and they are much more aggressive on their own agenda and their very own campaign. Now that is very telling, because the immediate interpretation is that there is no advantage, there is no wave in promoting the deputy president. Because as a politician, if you are under the wing of a presidential candidate who is very popular and is going to win, then you do everything to ride on that wave. You emphasize that presidential candidate so that his wave or her wave can sweep you to victory. That is not happening with key UDA candidates, even the ones who look like they're going to win. Now, isn't that instructive? Doesn't that tell you a lot about what will possibly happen on August 9th and thereafter? I think it does. The other key point I'd like to bring out on the UDA side is if we look back at recent revelations of tactics being used by UDA and Kenya Kwanza, they're very telling. And they can all be described with one English word: desperation. And there are many examples we can give. The arrest of the Venezuelans at the airport with election material. The aggression in attacking President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is not a candidate. And of course the reason for that is that within the Mount Kenya, the tactic or the strategy that has helped the deputy president the most by far is by creating anti-Uhuru venom, and by extension anti-Raila Odinga venom. This has gotten the deputy president many diehard supporters within the Mount Kenya region. And therefore it is human nature, when you have done something in the past that has worked, you want to overwork it. But you know, it is possible to overwork something to such an extent that there may be some Kenyans who will look for the photograph of Uhuru Kenyatta on the ballot box on August 9th, 2022? Because normally when somebody is voting, they want to see the candidate they hate most before they vote for the one they like, so that they confirm and reconfirm that they're not going to mark by mistake that candidate they hate. Therefore, the first thing they do is identify. Ule mtu sitaki ako wapi? Oh, ndio huyu. Ule nataka ndo ako wapi? Ndio huyu. Then they mark. That's how it goes. So, it is possible to overwork this strategy of shooting barbs at President Uhuru Kenyatta. So much so that some Kenyans will look for Uhuru Kenyatta on the ballot paper. But of course, he's not going to be there. He can never be there. Never ever. Now, the really scary thing here is that somebody who has already tried several desperate measures to win an election is bound to have one extra desperate last measure, maybe even a Samson option, up their sleeve. And this is the fear in Kenya. Now, it is very interesting that the way our security boys are behaving is that they are super alert. It is very clear they're expecting trouble. That's very clear. Because you can take precautions, for any eventuality. But you can also behave in such a manner that you definitely expect something. Our security boys, the way they are behaving, they are definitely expecting something. You know, in 2017, our security boys were expecting trouble from ODM supporters, because they already knew, even before the elections, that the prearranged election results would cause a reaction amongst ODM supporters. But even then, their preparations and alertness for trouble were nowhere near what they are today in 2022. In my opinion, that is very telling. They definitely have information that many of us do not yet have. That is really what it is. Now let's cross over to Azimio. Azimio, as the campaign came to an end, seemed to be very relaxed. You know, if you're going to win something, you're relatively relaxed. You're still campaigning, you're still doing everything in your power, but the mood in the camp is that one of people are relaxed. We're winning this thing. We're taking it. There is even an element of overconfidence amongst the Azimio people, which is hardly surprising for those of us who have been on the ground. And we know what people are saying. And we know how people are most likely going to vote. Now, let's go even deeper. If there's anything that is going to happen, God forbid, it is most likely going to happen after the 9th of August, after the voting. That is starting from the 10th onwards. You know, if you're about to go under the water, you take in one last deep breath before you go underwater. Now imagine this situation. The nation called Kenya is going to take that last deep breath at midnight, August 9th, 2022. And then the nation called Kenya is going to come up to take the next breath, meaning it's going to hold its breath. Until then, it is going to release that breath around the 13th, 14th, 15th of August. That is when the nation called Kenya will start breathing again. And so, what I'm saying is that those are the key dates between 10th and probably 15th, yeah, that Kenyans should remain super alert, even as we all make every effort to maintain the peace, even as we do everything in our power to refuse to be provoked, whatever happens, yeah, to remain peaceful. Because peace is what is going to carry our nation across this bridge that is the 2022 general elections, the 2022 mother of all general elections. Based on my information, it is highly unlikely that this particular election is going to be rigged by anybody. Yeah. And if there's going to be any attempt to rig it, arrangements are in place to quickly detect and deal with that problem. 2022 will definitely not be a repeat of 2017, of fake, fictitious results, of vifaranga via computer. No! 2022 is not going to be like that. I am of course super alert myself, and I'll be here to give you the latest analysis whenever something big breaks. Yeah, so you can count on me on that, as you have done, as many of you have done in the past, in 2017 for instance. Of course, I love my country to bits, and I'm praying and hoping for the very best, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you on the other side after we cross this bridge called the 2022 general elections. Based on what I have in front of me, the Azimio presidential candidate is going to take this one by not less than 60%. Yeah, I've got some high estimates, but let me just say not less than 60%. Folks, yes, it's going to be a landslide. And to summarize the reason why it's going to be like that, in one sentence, one side was doing things, very effective things, and the other side of the political divide, the one that will not get the 60%, had no idea. I am afraid that is what it really is. That is the truth. Indeed, I am predicting that what the losing side is going to do, has already made plans to do, is to look for small details that go wrong, to try and sell the narrative that the election was not free and fair. You know, in every general election, because this thing is done by man, planned by man, executed by man, and man is to err, yeah, there are always things that come out that are fishy in every election without fail. If you look hard enough, you'll always find them. And these are the things that the losing side is going to look for and present them to the world with the narrative that the election was not free and fair. That is after those results of 60% plus win come out. And finally, spiritually speaking, I will say very little. And this is all I have to say. There is nothing that Almighty God cannot do. What do I mean? What I mean is that Almighty God does not break into a sweat when he is presented with certain challenges. For instance, somebody is praying to Almighty God to have their headache healed, and somebody else is praying to Almighty God to heal their stage 4 cancer. Both are exactly the same before God. God does not break out into a sweat when he sees stage 4 cancer. It is the same as a headache, a minor headache, to heal. And therefore, there is nothing that Almighty God cannot do. Period. Folks, this is it. God bless the nation called Kenya. God bless Kenyans. Until next time, this is Kshs. Kumekucha.